welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle. Today I've got another never used match. This one is against Joseph from Twitter. So this is a pretty interesting team that I wanted to kind of throw together, basically because I felt like using Regi. Honestly, everybody knows this thing's a pain in the ass to set up because of its ability, but I kind of just built this team around it to see if I could get this thing to do something. So looking at my opponent's team, the main things I tried to identify were threats to Regi. So he does have the Scrafty, which can cause me some trouble if he does decide to set up some dragon dances and fun stuff like that. But other than that, I noticed he does have like a Victory Bell. He's got some other stuff like Lantern, which could give me some problems. But anyway, let's go ahead and just hop into the battle here and see how it goes. Alright, so I wasn't really sure what he was going to want to lead off with looking at the team preview, so I just threw out my Dildo as I want to get some Stealth Rock up and it'll be pretty useful. So he actually ends up leading off with his Dredagon, which is not something you see very often, but I know that basically these dudes are just kind of like sandpaper as fuck. They got that rough skin ability and Rocky Helmet usually, so you take some damage by touching these dudes. But anyway, he goes for the Glare first turn. I tried to get a Toxic off because these things are kind of bulky and I freaking missed. So Cradilly already starting off with a nice little Toxic miss there, which is really annoying. But then the next turn I get fully parried and I'm like, well damn it, this is not going how I wanted it to. So he's actually going to end up switching out here, and he's going to go right into his Scrafty, which is a good answer to my Cradilly. Another thing that I did take note of was that his team kind of struggles with Cradilly, so I do want to try to conserve this thing as much as possible. It's looking like Scrafty is his best answer to it. So I do actually end up getting my Stealth Rock up there. Rather than going for Toxic, I went for the Rocks just because it seems like it's really useful. So here I'm going to go ahead and switch into my Mrs. Mime, basically because I knew this thing was probably going to want to set up, but if it didn't, I would switch this thing in kind of just for death fodder. That would then allow me to bring in my Scarf Primeape after that, and I should be able to finish that thing off with a close combat. So either way, I kind of just realized that Mr. Mime is going to have to go down here for me to be able to make something happen against this Scrafty. So he actually ends up going for a bit of overkill here. He busts out the Corkscrew Crash, which is pretty damn crazy. So Mr. Mime really does not stand a chance in front of that shit. I don't know who would after a +1 from a Scrafty. That's definitely going to do some solid damage there. And I lose my housewife early on, so that kind of sucks. But the good news is that I do still have a Scarf Primeape on my team, so I bust out the Floof Ball, and I'm just going to go for the close combat. If he does decide to switch, it's fine. It'll do a decent amount of damage to anything. So he is going to switch out there, probably recognizing that I am Choice Scarfed, as he's going to bring in his Scyther here. So that thing just gets destroyed by Stealth Rock. I am going to go for the close combat. Obviously not going to hurt this thing very much, but the good news is it is going to knock it to the point where it can't come in on another Stealth Rock damage. So that's pretty damn cool, as I don't really want to lose my Primeape. It is a great answer to his Scrafty, so I got to keep that thing in the back of the team, as I'm just going to switch into my defense wall, which is my Gastrodon. So he's going to go for the Swords Dance, and that's kind of scary. Honestly, Scythers are fucking very intimidating. These things can hit very hard, especially when they're dancing with swords. They're already sharp as shit. I would not want to mess with this thing. But I'm actually just going to go for a Scald here, as he ends up going for the U-turn. I kind of thought he was going to want to stay in and go for the Aerial Ace, which is a 2-hit KO on me, but the U-turn is going to do over half, and he's now going to bring right back in his ugly-ass Dragon, brings in the Dredagon here, as I really wish I would have gone for Ice Beam that turn. I kind of think I calced it and it wouldn't have killed the Scyther, so I figured it was my best option going for the Scald to try to get the burn. I ended up getting the burn on the Dredagon, so that's pretty freaking sweet. As here, I don't really know what this thing wants to go for. Honestly, he can glare me and paralyze me, which is always funny. Seeing a ground type get paralyzed, but I'm just going to go for the Recover, just to kind of scout out what this thing wants to go for. And Gastrodon is looking really useful, plus I'm back to full health, and that's pretty awesome. As he ends up going for a Dragon Tail, so smacks me right in the face with his weird-ass tail, and that is going to drag out my Primeape, which does kind of suck. I don't really have a whole lot that I can hit this thing with, so I'm probably just going to go for the U-turn. As I'm looking at this matchup, I figure he probably wants to go for a Glare. Seeing as Primeape is a pretty big threat to his team, I'm just going to go for the U-turn here. I get a little bit of damage. It probably wasn't the best idea because I get hit with a little bit of Rough Skin, and then some Rocky Helmet to top it off. These things are just pointy as hell. If you have a Life Orb, you're going to be taking a lot of damage from just making contact with these assholes. So I'm now just going to switch into my paralyzed ass Cradilly. Obviously, I can't get glared again, so that's pretty sweet. This matchup isn't the worst for me. I haven't seen this thing's full moveset, but I figure he probably doesn't have a whole lot that he can do to me, so I'm going to stay in here while the burn is kind of just taking its toll on this thing. I'm going to go for a Rock Slide as I get fully paralyzed. Obviously, that's going to kind of suck. He ends up just going for a Dragon Tail yet again, and that's going to kind of send Cradilly's ass right the fuck back on out, and that is going to bring in Water Wings, who is my Floatzel, and this would have been perfect if I would have brought the right freaking Floatzel. For some reason, I put Brick Break on this thing rather than Ice Punch, which is quite unfortunate because that means I can't stay in and just go for the Ice Punch, so that really sucks. But figuring he's probably just going to try to go for another glare. I'm going to switch right back into Cradilly, and getting pretty damn repetitive here as he does go for the glare, which is fine. But honestly, all these turns are kind of just taking the burn damage, making this thing a lot easier to take care of later. So, Legos, I don't want to step on you. Wow, I just got that nickname. Holy shit, that makes sense. You don't want to step on a Dredagon. Fuck. But now he's going to switch into Fire Sauce here. I do go for the Rock Slide, and I'm like, alright, I'm about to catch a Magmortar with a Rock Slide. That's fucking perfect, as I end up missing. So Rock Slide's just doing what it does best, which is like not making contact. So that is kind of unfortunate. I don't know what this thing wants to go for. All I know is I'm a special defense wall, so I decide to stay in, as he ends up just going for the sunny day. Makes it all nice and sunny. It's hotter than tits out here. You gotta get your sunscreen out if you want to stay on this battlefield, as I end up just going for a Rock Slide. I do connect there, as it's not enough to take it out, unfortunately, but as I saw the sunny day there, it makes sense as to why he would do that. He does still have a Victory Bell in the back of his team, so that thing with the Chlorophyll ability is going to make it pretty freaking fast and honestly overall kind of scary. So here I'm just going to end up going for another Rock Slide, as I don't really have any reason to switch out here. I know Magmortar can't really hurt me, and honestly I'm not that much afraid of the Deep Throat plant here, because obviously, like I said before, I'm a special wall, and it's looking like I can take at least 2 Sludge Bombs from this thing. So I do connect on a Rock Slide against the Victory Bell, which is awesome, as he is just going to stay in and go for a Sludge Bomb here. I'm guessing he expected it to be a 2-hit KO, as Cradilly eats that shit up like a boss. Honestly, I love Cradilly. This is kind of like my go-to special wall in NU teams, but I do connect with another Rock Slide, which is freaking sweet. And at this point, I saw that he's Life Orbed, and he can't really come in on Stealth Rock, and he's probably going to have like one more attack if he decides to switch out. So he does switch out here, which is kind of cool for me. That's going to make that thing really easy to take care of. I only have to worry about it hitting me like one time due to the Life Orb there. So I do go for another Rock Slide. I end up missing that one, but honestly, my ratio on Rock Slides is honestly pretty good, considering I am paralyzed too. So fuck it, as the Lantern Up here is out here ready to turn up. Honestly, this thing is just floating around, fucking being all fish-like and shit. So I'm gonna go for I'm just gonna try to stay in and go for a Giga, or actually I go for a Toxic here, as he goes for the Ice Beam. It's not gonna do anything to me because I'm a specially defensive beast, as I am able to get a Toxic on the Lantern. I know that these things do generally carry Heal Bell. They're often just like utility mons, so if he does end up going for the Heal Bell, it's really no biggie, but I wanted to get that Toxic on there either way. So I'm sitting here, I'm at about half health. I really wish that this Cradilly had Recover. This is a different Cradilly that I've been using, that rather than Recover, it has Rock Slide, which is just honestly really good for coverage. But it seems like every time I bring a Rock Slide Cradilly, I need Recover, and every time I bring the Recover one, I need Rock Slide. So it's just kind of annoying. But here I'm going to switch into Gastrodon, who is a really great answer to Lantern, as he does end up going for the Heal Bell there. So he does end up having it, which I was kind of just trying to scout out. He's going to get rid of the Lego Burn, and then he gets rid of his own Toxic. So that kind of sucks, but Gastrodon, like I said, is a really great answer to Lantern, because I can scare it out with the potential Earth Power. It can't hit me with an electric attack, and I have Storm Drain, so he can't hit me with any water attacks, so that's pretty freaking cool. As he is going to go ahead and switch out here, he's going to go right back into Legos, gets hurt by a little bit of Stealth Rock, and then I end up killing this thing with an Ice Beam, which is awesome. So this Gastrodon actually doesn't even have Earth Power. Honestly, the whole movesets on this team are a little bit fucked up. I don't have Ice Punch on my Floatzel, I don't have Recover on my Cradilly, I don't have Earth Power on this thing. I probably should kind of rethink these these movesets. But anyway, he's now going to bring in the Fire Sauce yet again. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I could go for some Taco Bell right now. So a Magmortar just successfully made me hungry. But I figured he's going to go for the Sunny Day, considering he wants to get that Victory Bell in to try to kill me with a Solar Beam. I figured he'd do that. I'm just going to stay in and go for a Scald. Even in the sun, it is going to obviously take care of the Magmortar. So down goes that thing. And at this point, I'm really just glad that I knocked that Victory Bell down to the point where it's probably just going to kill itself with the Life Orb. So that's freaking awesome, as that could have potentially swept me, honestly. Victory Bell, pretty freaking scary. So he comes in, takes just enough Stealth Rock damage to have one hit left in him, and as I'm looking at my remaining team, I'm just going to go ahead and switch into Cradilly. I decided to sack this thing off pretty much just because it's looking like I don't really need Cradilly a whole lot for the rest of this match, as a Solar Beam is actually going to knock me out. So he probably should have just gone for Solar Beam that initial first matchup against Cradilly. It does more than Sludge Bomb, but so down goes Cradilly. You've done well though, buddy. Good shit. As Deep Throat Plant is going to kill itself with the Life Orb, so that is really awesome. Could have been a pretty big threat, but good to see that thing down. And now that we've got an empty battlefield, I expected him to probably want to go into his Scrafty, so I just go into my Primeape here, as I am going to get intimidated, which is kind of unfortunate, so it's probably going to make it so my close combat won't be able to finish this thing off. but I should be able to, it won't be too bad to pick off later. I do still have Aqua Jet on my Floatzel, so I go for the close combat. It is actually going to knock it down to red, as he actually, rather than going for the kill, he's going to go for the Dragon Dance. I'm guessing he kind of at this point was kind of like a last-ditch effort, hoping that I wasn't Choice Scarf or something like that, because I could have potentially gotten swept by this Scrafty here, but I am Scarf, and I'm still able to outspeed even with that that speed boost that he's got. So down goes Mr. Loco, and that's a pretty big threat out of the way. I still do have Regigigas in the back of the team here, who now can kind of come in and try to make some stuff happen, but honestly, it's getting pretty late game here. So he's not going to bring in his Lantern up, ready to turn up. I'm just going to go ahead and punch him right in the head balls, as punching fish is kind of a favorite pastime of mine, as it's going to knock it down to about half, going to make it nice and easy to take care of later, as he's just going to finish me off with a Scald. Actually, he's not. Since the sun is up, the water damage is not going to do as much. I do get burned, though, which is kind of unfortunate, as the sunlight is going to fade there, so he's going to eat some leftovers, brings him back to above half, and I'm able to actually even live the burn damage, so I was not expecting that, as I'm able to go for one more close combat, but with the burn, it's obviously not going to do a whole lot of damage. Still, though, any damage I can get, you know, fuck, I'll take that. He does still have the Scyther in the back of his team, who is just going to come in and die to Stealth Rock. So at this point, his last Pokemon really is just this Lantern. So I'm like, you know what? It's time to bust out the big guns. I know it's like sun's out, guns out. The sun's not out anymore, but I'm still ready to bring out the old dial-up. So out comes Regigigas. This thing is just a slow piece of shit. Honestly, it's really difficult to make this thing work. Slow start's going to make it so I can't get going. Get this man some Viagra or something, as it's just going to go for a Scald. Luckily, don't get burned, and check this shit out. Return is going to actually finish off the Lantern, which is awesome. So Regigigas picked up a little late game kill there, and you'll love to see it. So eating some leftovers, my bulky ass is just honestly out here, and he can't really do anything to me because his last Pokemon is the Scyther. So out comes this thing, and he's like, oh shit, there's some Stealth Rocks out here. Boom, dead as hell. So that is going to be the end of the match there, guys. I will try to get some more battles with this team. I really want Regigigas to do something, but honestly, it's really difficult. This thing works like 1 out of every 20 battles, probably. I've only done a couple with it, but we'll see how it goes. It's honestly just kind of fun to experiment with. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and hit that like button on this video if you did enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe for some more Wi-Fi battles. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out.